All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, March 5th. We have an 8-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, in terms of last night, we couldn't string two sweeps together. We go 2 and 3, and it's actually, honestly, admittedly, I probably don't even need to do this, but it is worse than 2 and 3 because that same game parlay with Steph and Towns, the odds got absolutely nuked on it because Karl Anthony Towns didn't even play. So essentially we were taking Steph for 20 plus. So not all that great. Darius Garland over 2.5 threes. That's the only other one that comes through for us there. I will say I feel a little bit burned by the Magic. They hit what I would consider a game winner, right? With like 4 seconds left. Then you play out the rest of the game and the Raptors hit a game winners. That was a bummer. Garland, yeah, he hit the threes for us. Only had 19 points. Started the game, I think it was 0 of 7 or 0 of 8. So yeah, some bad looks in there, but some things that could have bounced our other way. I'm not trying to take this too hardly. Hopefully we can get right back on the hot streak here. Unfortunately, and man, oh man, is it unfortunate. We'll get the womp womp out of the way. King Preezy had the Nets team total. He looked for his 5th team total cash in a row here. Nets team total under 112.5. They finished at 113. How brutal is that? How brutal of a way to lose the ride of the day. But you know what? Pumping some crowd noise for the streak that King Preezy went on. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD down in the comments. Give me your favorite play today. I jump on board with one person's play, give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss, and shout you out over on my Twitter/X right here. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays until you do lose. If you do lose, like King Preezy did today, you got to face the womp womps. Okay, go ahead and get those plays down in the comments. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe button, and let's get rocking. We're starting it off with, honestly, probably one of the messier games on the slate, but it is what it is. Let's jump into it. We got Washington taking on Utah. Now, there's a ton of injuries to note in this game. No Jordan Poole. George may be questionable here. Holmes, Sadiq Bey, Brogdon. We know about those ones, right? On the Washington side. On the Utah side of things, Clarkson, Collins, Kessler, Markkanen, Sexton, all listed as out. Springer listed as a game time decision. So this is going to literally be two teams that have been playing, I guess they have been playing this season without a lot of their main guys, but this is like a G League game here. The one thing that I will say is I feel this Utah defense is worse, to be completely honest. I mean, I know Washington's defense. So if you look at Washington's defense recently, I should put it like this. They've actually looked pretty good. I think in like the last 3 games or so, even the last 5, the defensive efficiency is there. But, that being said, we're talking about a team that played Orlando, Brooklyn, Portland, Charlotte, and Miami, right? So, yeah, sure, their defense could look good, but this Utah defense, like 134 to Detroit a few nights ago, right? 128 to New Orleans. Like, this defense really does struggle, especially with no Walker Kessler in the middle. So, yeah, I honestly will lean towards Washington, and there's a chance. No, I shouldn't even say there's a chance it's a final play because that would be crazy, but I do like Washington's angle here because I think they'll be able to score at the rim, which they don't do very often. But this Utah team is dreadful from deep, and that is where Washington is shooting a lot of their shots from, right? So, yeah, I kind of don't mind the matchup for Washington. But again, we're talking Washington, Utah. It's an 8-game slate. I don't know if we need to force anything here. In terms of what we have from a total perspective, yeah, I already said it. Not much defense is going to be played in this game, I don't envision. So I'm going to lean over. My one concern is like, well, not much defense is going to be played, but I don't know if there's like the biggest amount of offense in this game either, making it kind of tough, right? But let's move on to the next one. I don't have any player props in this game. Next up is Cleveland taking on Miami. I want to start with a player prop here, just because I do find some interest in this one. Okay, so Cleveland taking on Miami. Bam Adebayo, though it doesn't seem like it'd be like a dream matchup for him, I do like his position here against this Cavs team, especially due to the injuries that we're seeing on the Miami side of things. So Jaime Jaquez out. Jovic out. Khalil Ware out. Wiggins out. It's like a lot of these guys that would be either taking some of those mid-range-ish shots or rebounds or even, I guess, usage. This should fall to what I would think Bam Adebayo. Now, yes, he has a matchup against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Is that the best situation? I don't think so. But in 2 games, his last 2 games, one of them being this season, he has cashed it 34 PRA and 35 PRA. So I don't mind his over 33.5 PRA. Also considering just Bam Adebayo's points, again, I think he's going to get some looks here. The problem is it's still a very good Cleveland defense. So the situation on the Miami side of things makes me like Bam, right? Maybe we can even just take a peek at his rebounds because, who's going to get the rebounds on that side, right? But again, I like his side on the Miami side of things. You look at Cleveland, it's like, oh, well, are they really the best defense for him to go up against and all that? Not necessarily, but even if his rebounds right now are plus 110, plus 110 for over 10.5, I could see that coming through. So maybe it's a little bit crazy, but I mean, he's been averaging 10.8 rebounds over his last 10 games here. On the road, though, he does kind of struggle. But again, no Khalil Ware really does impact this, in my opinion. So that's a player prop that I'd look at. It's just a matter of if I can kind of swallow the matchup to get through it, because I think he's going to have a decent opportunity here. But let's talk about this game. So you have Cleveland, who's coming off of a back-to-back. They played Chicago yesterday, and I'm honestly glad that we kind of said what we said in our video, right? I said, I think that this is going to be a game that Cleveland doesn't necessarily get up for or anything like that. And for the longest time, it looked like that was the case. But Cleveland is so good that they ended up covering that big spread. So, like I said, I'm glad I said what I said, because my heart would have been pounding if I think they were losing at one point, right? But ultimately, if you did roll with Cleveland yesterday, hey, you're a happy camper. Miami's coming off of, honestly not playing the worst of basketballs. Have they played the best schedule? No, but they've won 3 of their last 4 games. They've covered in 4 straight. They were 6-point dogs against the Knicks, only lost by 4. So they're playing some good basketball here. But this Cleveland team, I don't think you want to get in front of right now. They're playing. Again, they've been playing good basketball year long, but they have won like 10 straight games, maybe even more than that. But they're 10-0 in their last 10 here. Miami's interior defense, especially without Khalil Ware, I worry about a little bit. I like Bam. I guess he's a physical defender, good defender. But if he gets oversized or outmatched, we could be in trouble here if you like Miami. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards Cleveland. If you're worried about the back-to-backs, I could say maybe don't be. Cleveland, 58.3% of their games this year they've covered in back-to-backs. And then Miami, with the rest advantage over their opponent, only 45.5% cover rate. So, yeah, not exactly the worst spot there. And I mentioned all the injuries for Miami, right? Like, they're in deep stuff right now. I mean, it's Tyler Hero, Alec Burks, maybe Mitchell, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo as your starting lineup going up against Garland, Mitchell, Strus, Mobley, and Allen. Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Cleveland in this one. I wish this was like 9.5. Maybe Cleveland can be thrown in some sort of little slimy parlay that we do where we knock that down to like -2.5 and add it with another team. Maybe that's a potential play. In terms of what we have from a total perspective, I don't like the overall total. What I would say is I think Miami could struggle to score, but I also think that Cleveland could score. 2 ships passing in the night, right? So I'm going to lean towards Cleveland team total over. In fact, let me get a total for that right now, because we don't have an updated line as of right now. This total has been bouncing around, but makes sense, right? There's a bunch of injuries going on. Yeah, Cleveland team total over 116.5. I don't necessarily mind. In terms of last time they played them this season, 126, and then the time before that, I think it was really, really close, right? I don't have that up. I think they were like 115. So that, yeah, I could be convinced of a Cleveland team total over. And like I said, player prop wise, considering Bam Adebayo, he played in that game back in December and had a pretty good game PRA wise. But I like his rebounds and points. Speaking of player props, guys, go ahead and check out Sleeper Picks. They have a Giannis 0.5 square for tonight. But again, I keep telling you guys, the best thing that they're offering is the Play 5, get $55 back. Imagine just 11xing your money by placing a $5 entry as a new customer. Absolute no-brainer. Go check it out. That link will be down in the description as well as the pinned comment, or you can just download the Sleeper Picks app and use code GUYBOSTON. You get all the same deals. And it's Wednesday. They usually drop discounts or some sort of promos on Wednesday. So what a better day, no better day than today to sign up. And that link will be down below and in the pinned comment. Go ahead and check it out. Again, Play 5, get 55, and you get the Giannis free square. Absolute no-brainer. Go ahead and check it out. Let's jump back into these games. All right, Charlotte taking on Minnesota. Not exactly the most amount of interest in this one. We have Minnesota coming off of a win last night. Pretty good win. I mean, I know it was a beaten up Sixers team, but that was a big number for Minnesota to cover, right? Now to travel to Charlotte right away does worry me a little bit, but this Charlotte team has been in such turmoil, right? Like, just not playing all that tremendous. But if Rudy Gobert doesn't play, I think this is what I would say. If Rudy Gobert doesn't play and we can get a better number for Charlotte, not 9, I would have to see like 11 or something like that. I guess I don't necessarily hate it. I think Minnesota, that's going to be tough to cover 2 days in a row now, also traveling. And I think Charlotte should be able to potentially get inside against this team with no Gobert. So maybe even a look at someone like Mark Williams, who should be able to have a decent amount of rebounds, especially with no Gobert. Even with Gobert, the last 7 games here for Minnesota, they've allowed the 3rd most rebounds to opposing centers. So if they can, and you guys know me, I like to kind of establish the paint, right? If they can establish the paint, like if Rudy Gobert's playing, I'm not even thinking about this play. But I do think it matters enough because if they can hit their shots from outside, which could be difficult, but if they can, and they can kind of get some boards and play tough in the paint with, Bridges and Williams, I guess I don't mind it. Maybe that's crazy. I'm gonna sound the psycho alert alarm, but Minnesota to me just strikes me as a team that's a little bit too inconsistent to be laying, double digits 2 games in a row. Are they on a little bit of an uptick? Sure, but they played Phoenix. Phoenix, we know about them, right? They can blow a game and a drop at a moment's notice. And then Philadelphia, who's really injured, so I'm not putting too much stock into it. I could be crazy for liking Charlotte in this one, but you know what? I think it might be too many points if Rudy Gobert does not play. Total-wise right now, it's sitting at 223. On back-to-backs this season, Minnesota has hit the over in 63.6% of games. Charlotte plays slow. We know that. And their defense actually has been okay, so I expect them to slow down Minnesota a little bit. But if I think Charlotte's going to stay in this game, I can't envision this game being anything like less than let's call it this, 116 to like 119 or 109 type of a game for, a Minnesota win, which meaning Charlotte covers and the over slightly hit. So that's the direction I'd lean in. And then honestly, no player props jumping out to me in this one as of right now. All right, Celtics at home taking on Portland. Maybe this is one that we can whittle that line down and pair with Cleveland or something like that. But, and it's a big but, we got to keep an eye on the end report. So pretty much everybody that gets minutes for the Celtics team other than Hauser and Horford, the 2 H's, is either questionable or doubtful. So we'll just take it from the top here. Derek White, probable. Peyton Pritchard, probable. Jason Tatum, questionable. Jaylen Brown, questionable. Drew Holiday, doubtful. Kristaps Porzingis, doubtful. So we have to wait this one out, right? They're 10-point favorites. We do have on the other side some injuries to note as well, but they've been the injuries that we've seen. Robert Williams out, Thibault out. We have DeAndre Ayton still out, and then Jeremy Grant, game time decision. So this game is honestly probably not even worth totally looking at right now until we do know what's going on with the injuries. But let's play the hypothetical game that most of these guys play, and then only one of Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown plays. I still don't mind the matchup. This Portland defense has had its ups and downs. I get that. But to me, they're not all that great at the catch and shoot jumper. So they decent at preventing the pull-up. So if Brown or Tatum were I wouldn't love them, but someone like Sam Horford, Sam Hauser, or Derek White, who could probably prosper in these catch and shoot situations, I could see having a very good time. They're also really struggling right now and this season, I guess, in the pick and roll defense. So there are ways that even if you just look at the basic numbers, it's like, oh, they cover the perimeter well. There are ways that the Celtics team should be able to score on Portland, and if they do that, I don't see Portland having an easy time scoring on the Celtics, you know what I mean? Especially with the Celtics, if Porzingis plays, that takes their interior defense up a notch, and Portland, has been shooting a lot in the paint. So, barring injuries, I do like the Celtics in this spot to win, but I would probably knock that line down, maybe some sort of parlay piece. Now, I did mention a couple player props that could be considered. I'm not all over them, I would say, but yeah, if I were to jump on something, it's probably going to be Derek White related, maybe Sam Hauser related, especially if these injuries are there. But we don't have lines for them yet solely because, obviously we're waiting on a ton of injuries in this one, but that's where I would go. And then in terms of what we have from a total perspective. So this Celtics team has been playing fairly slow, right? Portland actually been playing kind of quick. I do think the Celtics team, like I said, can score on Portland. So maybe a Celtics team total and or a full game total. That's a pretty low line, but I like the Celtics to score a lot more than I do Portland here, so I guess the safer in this dumb brain, the safer play may be to take a peek at Celtics team total. Memphis taking on OKC. We did see this matchup about, a little bit less than a month ago. It was in Memphis, and OKC, they're 1.5-point favorites. They won the game by 13. That was a kind of a statement type win, right? We saw Jalen go for 25. We saw Shea go for 32, but we saw Aaron Wiggins go for 26. Memphis, on the other hand, Ja Morant didn't have the best of games, only 16 points. Jaren Jackson only had 19 points. So this OKC team can surely give these guys some trouble, right? Because if you look at this team and how they want to play, in fact, we can jump into the dashboard here, and I can explain to you guys how to get access to this dashboard in a little bit. In fact, this view probably is a little bit better for now, just by becoming a GuyBostonSports.com member. But let's go ahead and go through this. So a couple things that, Memphis likes to do. Score in the paint. Okay, well, OKC this season, #1 team at preventing points in the paint. You could say, okay, well, last 3 games, 20th, right? Maybe you're making an argument for Memphis, but overall, sure. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at a squad that's like, well, what Memphis likes to do, they can stop. Memphis also runs a lot of pick isolation here. Well, OKC, the #2 team in terms of effective field goal percentage in isolation, #1 team in terms of score percentage. From a pull-up jumper perspective, sure, they should be able to stop that. Maybe have some trouble with the catch and shoots. There's a lot of angles to make the case for OKC should stop what this Memphis team should be able to do, right? One thing that I think points in the direction of Memphis could be that, okay, well, OKC isolates. Memphis, just as good as OKC in the isolation. I think that this game ends up being kind of one on the perimeter, crazily enough. This Memphis team has shown that they can protect the paint. Not so much recently, so if OKC can score at the paint with ease, then sure, this game's over, right? That's feeding right into them. But if they get their threes to go, which last 3 games, #1 in terms of points from 3 here, against a team that's kind of middle of the pack three-pointers-wise, down here in the bottom left, I think that this OKC team could kind of pour it on overall. So I'm going to say that this is an OKC game, but I'd probably be looking at OKC's team total over, because I think Memphis can up the pace here overall. So that's 2 spots that I'd look at. If I had to look at something on the player prop side of things, I don't necessarily, I would say that this could be a good game for some of the shooters there. So, if we look at, say, some catch and shoot guys, right, for this OKC team, we're going to be looking at guys like Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins as well. I would say it's going to be good for them, but I don't know if they'll have the usage, because this is kind of like a big game, right? So yes, I think shooting could be one here, but what if they say, okay, well, let's just take it inside. Memphis hasn't been good inside. Then I don't know if you get your money's worth of taking those chances on the guys that only get the 5-6 attempts per game. Does that make any sense? Hopefully. So I'm going to lean towards OKC, their team total over. And then, again, player props, I would be considered someone like Dort, but I just hope the volume would be there for him. That's what could keep me off of it. Denver taking on Sacramento. We still have Sacramento right here in the DMB graveyard. Starting to feel like they can come out of it sooner or later, but hey, they're still there right now. So even if we like Sacramento in this game, odds are we're probably not going to roll with them. But if they play well in this one, they've won 4 straight games. They've won 7 of the last 10. They're probably ready to come out of the DMB graveyard. Me putting them in there is probably what started this damn win streak, right? But nonetheless, if we look at this game, we'll start with the injury report here. I guess very, very important to keep an eye on. You have Sabonis. No, he's not playing. Malik Monk, questionable. Aaron Gordon and Jokic now questionable. So another game, much like the Celtics one, where it's like, well, we kind of have to wait. You're not going to take Denver without knowing about Jokic, and you're probably not taking Sacramento without knowing about Malik Monk. So, yeah, I'm going to say if Jokic plays, I like Denver. If he doesn't, I honestly like Sacramento. I think that this team can hang and play some good basketball, and continue to play some good basketball if Jokic doesn't go. But if Jokic does play, that should kind of counter the Sacramento's good at defending down low, and Sabonis isn't going to play. So it's like Jokic versus Valanciunas. Jokic could have a very good game getting to the line, that type of thing. He's not as nimble as Sabonis, right? But if he doesn't play, then sure, I don't mind the idea of all of a sudden Denver's, have you seen the numbers? Their offensive rating and efficiency without Jokic is ridiculously bad. So if he doesn't play, then yeah, I don't mind the idea of taking a peek at Sacramento, because without Malik Monk and Sabonis, you still have a pretty good, solid team there, right? Levine, DeRozan, Keegan Murray, these are legitimate players. And if Monk plays, then now you have 4 guys that I do to some degree trust, even with no Sabonis. But Valanciunas is a decent replacement in terms of kind of being a big brute down there. So yeah, Sacramento, if Jokic doesn't play, if he does play, then yeah, I'm going to be looking at Denver because I think that he should be able to kind of dominate down low. So he's the biggest factor in this one of the biggest factors in the league. It's not like I'm breaking any news to you guys. In terms of what we have from a total, I think it's a little bit too high. This Sacramento team, even without Sabonis, should want to play slow. And if they lose Malik Monk, that should be a hit to their offense. And then I already talked about Denver, right? If Jokic does not play, this offense just goes downhill. So 238 seems a little bit high for me, but it's definitely Jokic dependent, and I would say injury report dependent overall as well too. In terms of what we have from player prop perspective, like I did mention, we're still waiting on a decent amount here, but I don't mind, something like Keegan Murray over 12.5 points if we see no Malik Monk. We already have no Sabonis. We know that this Denver team isn't the best of defenses. In fact, this season, 6th most in terms of points allowed, or 6th worst in terms of points allowed from 3. He's hit this in 3 straight games, right? Keegan Murray over 12.5 points. Head-to-head against the Nuggets, in his last 5, he's averaged 12.4. He shot the ball, I think it was 10 times. We'd want more from that, right? 10 times and scored 11 points back in January against them. So he should, I would say, if he gets more attempts, then we should be looking pretty good. In fact, let's see if we can filter this down. So if he shoots the ball, let's go 11 times. This is this season. If he shoots the ball 11 times, he's hit the over in 73% of games. 73% of games. And this is going to be a spot in which, yes, we may not see Malik Monk. We may not see Sabonis. So let me run some numbers. So we have this. I'm going to see what his field goal attempts look like with no Sabonis, with no Monk. And in fact, we can do it with you right here. This is Outlier Guys 7-day free trial with the link down below in the description. Again, 7-day free trial. So let's go to his over. We saw 11.5, right? We can get, that's a little bit more juice than we were just seeing. But either way, let's go to 11.5. And what we want to do here is on the season, we'll look at his field goal attempts, right? So 10.7. Without Sabonis, we'll do Monk first. Has he played any? Without Monk, all right, so now 10.5. That's still kind of right there. Without Sabonis, because we know Sabonis isn't playing. 9 attempts, but he shot 10 and 11. Okay, so we still, at least his field goal attempts, I was hoping for that to jump up a little bit more. It doesn't all that much, but if he gets those 11 attempts, I still don't mind this spot. I think that's still a fair look. I was hoping he'd get a little bit more usage, but doesn't really look like that is the case overall, right? So I guess everything in this game, both sides, the total even here, as well as player props would be injury dependent overall. In terms of where we'd go, I guess say Jokic plays, say Malik Monk plays. I still do think that this is going to be a slow enough paced game. Sacramento was a fast team. They've slowed it down a little bit, definitely since the trades and whatnot. So I would still lean under, I think, just in general, I guess. Dallas, 11-point favorites. You're probably like, what? Why are they so heavily favored? Well, no Anthony Davis for Dallas, right? PJ Washington, I believe, is going to be missing this one as well. Dante Exum's out. Gafford's out. Hardy's out. Lively's out. Martin is questionable. And, Kyrie Irving season-ending surgery. So, yeah, Milwaukee is 11-point favorites for a reason. I don't think there's any argument to be made for the Dallas side of things. Milwaukee should dominate this one, but they are on a back-to-back, which is a little worrisome. In no rest situations this season, Milwaukee 20% cover rate on back-to-back. So that makes me kind of just be like, kind of smells like a trap. But honestly, not even that big of a trap. It's 11 points. Do we really want to be throwing 11 points down when maybe this is one of those games we talk about all the time where it's like, these teams get injured and it's like they have one really good game of rallying around each other and then they go afterwards. It's like Kyrie's out, they have all these injuries. Maybe they do kind of step up this game. I lean Milwaukee. I lean yet another favorite here, but I don't think I'm going to be getting there myself today. In terms of what we have from a total, I don't really see where the defense comes from on the Dallas side of things. They're so banged up, right? Their interior defense is gone. PJ Washington isn't going to be playing. It's like Dwight Powell, Edwards, Klay Thompson, Max Christie, and Dinwiddie. Sure, some of those guys can play some defense, but against Dame, Kuzma, Antetokounmpo, nailed it. I can't see Milwaukee scoring, few points in this one. My only concern is, it is a back-to-back, but I guess if I were to lean towards something on the total side of things, it would be Bucks team total over. You're probably getting a good number here because that is such a low line, and we're throwing in the fact that Milwaukee's on a back-to-back, so over 114.5, that could be something I consider, but Giannis is listed as probable. If Giannis doesn't play because it's a back-to-back or that type of thing, again, they're on a back-to-back, so they have more time to declare their injuries. If he doesn't go, I don't think that I like that, and there's way too many things going on personnel-wise for me to love a player prop. All right, jumping into the last game. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 24. Like I said, there's some weird ones in this. Like, this is not the best slate. 8 games, sure, but even look at the spreads, right? Like, this is the closest spread that we have to talk about here. 4.5 points. We have a few double-digit ones. Like, this just, to me, and maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments, actually, if you are hearing this. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I missing something, or is it just kind of like a, I'm not saying it's a terrible slate, but I think it's just kind of like a meh type slate, right? Like, struggling to find things we love here, but we loved a few things yesterday and had a losing night, so I guess it's just how it works. But let's dive into this one. We got the Clips taking on Detroit. We'll go to the injury report because looks like Kawhi, Simmons, Norm Powell, Derrick Jones Jr., all listed as out, but again, they may be playing because I guess you could say this. They may be playing because we never know in this league for starters, right? And secondarily, they did just play, this team played yesterday, so they are on a back-to-back, right? Now, Detroit's been playing some really good basketball. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. Both these teams are going to prioritize getting into the paint. Both teams pretty good defensively in the paint. Now, that said, we want to see Kawhi play. That's a huge part of their defense. I think on the Detroit side of things, we might see some injuries too. Yeah, Tobias Harris listed as out, so honestly, that is something that could hurt them, but that just means you're going to get a lot more Malik Beasley action, and that's kind of playing right into how you can get this Clippers team. So I hate to do it. I feel like we've leaned towards out of these 8 games, 6 favorites, but if Kawhi's not playing, if Norm Powell's not playing, we saw this team collapse against the Suns yesterday. If the Suns, they're on the DNB, right? I like the Suns yesterday, but if they weren't on the DNB, I probably would have rolled with Suns yesterday. I didn't H to H and took that one. But this is probably a spot in which I'd consider Detroit just because, 1, they're a little bit more healthy. 2, I like how they play. I'm thinking they should be the better defense in this case, especially with the injuries. And the Clippers, that being said, in fact, I didn't even talk about this dashboard, how to get it. We'll talk about it right after this. Clippers, last 10 games, 71.4% field goal percentage against in the restricted area. Look at who's shooting the ball in the restricted area almost exclusively. The Detroit Pistons. So yeah, probably a tough spot for the Clippers to stop them there. We'll talk about the total in just a second, but guys, over here on the Guy Boston Sports site, so head over to GuyBostonSports.com, the homepage, you'll see all of our videos and whatnot. Up in the members area, top right, you go to NBA dashboard. If you are logged in, you'll get access to the dashboard. You can open it up, print it out, zoom in, do whatever you want. You can download it. It gives each and every game broken out from a visual format to save you the time researching, right? So it's really cool. We put a lot of effort into this one. Right now, that is the only dashboard that we're offering, but you could still join in as a all sports dashboard member, meaning you get access to all of our dashboards year round, because right now it's $4.99. The minute this MLB dashboard releases, I'm really excited for you guys to see this one. That's going to be $4.99 alone. So you can lock yourself in at a price where you're getting both NBA, NFL, and MLB, all those dashboards for the same price as just the MLB. So yeah, if you want to try that out, go ahead and jump in at the all sports price because again, you're getting that discount there. All right, now in terms of and by the way, that's in the pinned comment. It'll take you right over there. You'll be able to find it. In terms of a total here, I do like an under. I just have to figure out if I can consume the odds or the line here of 219.5. Seems a little low. Like both these teams do have enough playmakers and have been playing good enough basketball to drop 110. In fact, the Clippers scored 117 in a loss against Phoenix, right? Detroit have scored 110 plus in 4 straight. So though I like the defenses, it is a little tough. I'm going to stick with the under. I'm going to stick with my gut and stick with what we saw in the dashboard that, both these teams do like to score in the paint. Both these teams defend the paint fairly well. I'm trying not to put too much weight into the Clippers struggling right at the rim there. So I'm going to lean under, but obviously it could be a little dicey there just given the fact that, we're looking at 2 teams that have, Cade Cunningham, James Harden. Clippers on the one hand, I should mention, obviously, right? Like, yeah, no Norm Powell, no Kawhi. You're missing a lot of scores there, so that's fair enough. In terms of where we go player prop wise, I kind of like Jalen Duren. if what we saw is just right and that this Clippers team has been allowing a lot of, easy buckets and a high field goal percentage at the rim, then why not think about that, right? And Jalen Duren, his line's at 12.5. You can get plus money for that right now. So I think that might be a look. I also don't mind his double-double. That way, I mean, you're looking for rebounds, obviously, but his line is at 11.5 right now, right? So don't necessarily, not all that afraid of that. In fact, I think his over for, 9.5 rebounds is like minus 200. So should happen. And then double-double, you're at least getting like 3 points of value there, but you'd have to get the best price out there, which I think is right around minus 120 something right now. So yeah, I don't mind Jalen Duren in this spot. But guys, like I said, apologies, I don't make the slates. I don't think this is the juiciest of slates, but still, we'll have some action. Keep an eye down in the pinned comment. That's going to wrap it up for today. If you guys did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.